All right, that's better. Good morning, everyone. All right. Good morning, guys. I'm John Warner Smith, Executive Director of the Shadows. Welcome to the Shadows on the Teche. We're so happy to have all of you here this morning for the grand reopening of the Shadows. As you know, we've been closed since October last year. We're reopening with a new experience that we know you will find informative, educational, and inspiring. Can you all hear me well enough? I think I lost some. I'm going to carry on. I'll speak louder. Yeah. So the program is this morning is going to be very brief. Thanks to the Chamber of Commerce for doing the ribbon cutting. We're going to start off with Tommy Falgood of the Great Iberia Chamber, bringing on the scissors and the ribbons, and then we'll have several speakers. I won't introduce each speaker in the interest of time for you. They'll come up and say some brief remarks, and then I'll close with some final remarks. So we've got Tommy Falgood. Oh, that's all right. I'm under the oaks, moss. Oh, yes, that sounds great. Freddie will follow. Our great mayor here of the city, Freddie DeQuir, and Omar Eaton Martinez. Omar is the Senior Vice President for Historic Sites of the National Trust for Historic Preservation, my boss. He's here and will be speaking. Susan Dorsey, Vice President of the Iberia African American Historical Society, will speak. Susan, there you are. And I do want to acknowledge Phoebe Hayes, who is present. Phoebe is president of the society, will not be speaking, but is here. Glad to have her. We have representatives of the parish president, our great parish president, M. Larry Reshaw. Raise your hands, those that are representing Larry, several people. Great, thank you all for coming. All right, so I'm going to turn it, and I'll close with some brief remarks. After my remarks, we're going to open the doors of the Shadows to all of you for an open house. So please join us for that when we wrap up here this morning. I'll turn it over now to Tommy.
You want to cut the ribbon after all the remarks?
Yeah, let's wait until after.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Tommy Falgood. I'm the CEO of the Great Iberia Chamber of Commerce, or Thomas Falgood. I go by either. Grew up here my whole life, Tommy's, but a lot of people remember me as. We're here, glad to be a part of this, glad that the Shadows is back open. Tremendous history here in this facility for our community, for our economy, for things, and now tourism and the dollars that brings to our community. We thank them for being here and everything that goes on here on this property and what it's mean and what it's going to mean for our community to continue. Again, thank y'all. We'll have some other people, like you said, come up and speak, and then we'll cut our ribbon at the end of everybody's speech. Mayor?
Good morning. What a great day. You know, the Shadows has been part of the fabric of our community since 1831. Now, those threads are going to reach out and go even further. And when you think about honoring our history, our diversity, I have a construction company that's been very fortunate to do quite a few restoration projects here. That's what my company specializes in. And when you think of the craftsmen who built this place, that their history was not told, when you think of all of the areas that we can spread this out so that more tourism comes, we celebrate our diversity, this is just a great day. You know, the Shadows is such an anchor in our downtown, has been here forever. To have a National Trust property in our community is so rare because there are so few around the country. We need to always remember that and support this place because it is special. So just an exciting day and another chapter in a long history with a long history to come. Thank you for coming.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We're entering the first day of the rest of our lives with this new interpretation and engagement and the wonderful new partnership we have with the Iberian African American Historical Society. Again, my name is Omar Eaton Martinez. I'm the Senior Vice President for the National Trust for Historic Preservation. I oversee 28 sites across the country And the Shadows is the first one I came to when I started this job last July. I'm super excited for this new opening. I'm super excited to continue to build and cultivate the relationships we have with the existing communities while continuing to grow more audiences to come to the site, because I really feel strongly that the histories that we interpret and preserve at this site inform the conscience of our communities. And this is important work. I had the opportunity a few weeks ago to attend a special conference in Binghamton University, and the institute that held it was the Institute of Genocide and Mass Atrocity Prevention. And so people are thinking to themselves, well, what was a cultural institution doing in a conference like that? Well, what you would find out to learn is that they really lean on our work to help prevent future atrocities, right? Because they understand that our work helps bring humanity to the center of what we're learning about. And so I'm really excited again. I got to go to a quick highlights with Adam this morning. There's a lot of great stuff happening. And so I look forward to building this relationship with you and continuing to cultivating the great work of our staff here at the Shadows on the Teche. Thank you very much.
Good morning to all. Can you all hear me? Good morning to all. Good morning, Mr. Mayor. Good morning, Ad hoc Supreme Court Justice Charles Porter. Good morning, Mr. Martinez. Good morning, Mr. Smith. Good morning, Jay. Good morning, Dr. Hayes. And a special good morning to the members of the Descendant Committee, of the Descendant Community, and members of the Iberia Parish African American Historical Society. Dr. Hayes believes she has lost her voice and has asked me to speak in her stead. But so much of what has been publicly documented in the African American history of I live in St. Mary Parish, of Iberia Parish, is a result of her research, her effort, and her influence. And Dr. Hayes, we are extremely grateful for the work that you have done. We are here to commemorate the truth with our partner, the National Trust for Historic Preservation. I am a tourist, but my first trip to the Shadows, although I lived here for 2 years, was not until 2017. In the 80s, my friends and I visited several plantations along the River Road. Tour guides told us that Mr. So-and-so gave this beautiful house to his daughter on the occasion of her wedding. He gave her 500 acres. At the height of its glory, the plantation produced X thousand tons of cane, and that the house had hosted various social gatherings. But when we asked for evidence that our ancestors had been there, nobody had any. Nobody mentioned that the enslaved people had built the house. Nobody mentioned that the enslaved people had harvested the cane, or that they had cooked the food, nursed the sick, and in fact been the backbone of the entire plantation economy. Nobody even thought to mention that the beautiful ornamental ironwork was the work of Adinkra people. And how did the Adinkra people get here in the 16th, 17th, and 18th centuries? Then I came to the Shadows as a part of the musical Bump Johnson Out of the Shadows that was written by Ifa Baeza and produced right here. That was 2017. After that, the trust sponsored her in a writing class. Judge Porter, Phoebe, Mr. Broussard, Judge Porter's daughter, John Reedham's sister, a lot of us took that class. The Shadows opened its archives and its records to us. Several people in the class found relatives, ancestors, who had worked on this very property. In March, the National Trust hosted a conference of the descendant communities of the sites at which they have, ownership. That conference was at the Smithsonian African American Museum for History and Culture. And what we found there is that there is a nationwide thrust, a nationwide thirst even, where people are digging up cemetery records, people are sifting through military records, people are establishing astonishing DNA chains, astonishing, so that acknowledgments can be made, so that the truth will be told. For myself, I seek acknowledgement of my fifth great grandfather, Tom Simon, whose former owners gave him 500 acres out there across Highway 90, and which he died defending. He was killed, actually, defending ownership of that property in 1888. I acknowledge that the city, the parish, and the state have recognized my grandfather, E.L. Dorsey, M.D., by placing a historical marker. He was a victim of the 1944 Night of Terror that occurred right here in June 1944, right here in the city of New Iberia. And I acknowledge that the Shadows, completed in 1834, opened to the public in 1961, and publicly beginning to tell the truth in 2023. I acknowledge them for presenting a more inclusive history of the work, the labor, and the produce that went on here at the Shadows and at its branch on Weeks Island. The Iberia African American Society is proud of its partner. We are proud as they embark upon this odyssey of truth-telling. Congratulations to the National Trust. We remain committed to unearthing and telling the full, true, and inclusive history of Iberia Parish. Thank you.
Dorsey took 2 minutes of my time, so thank you, Dorsey. Beautiful comments. You know, I've worked in many organizations, led some organizations in my lifetime, and the most important thing I've learned as a leader is that you're only as good as the people you lead. So I'd like to take just a moment to introduce our staff here at the Shadows. Most of you probably know these guys. They're always in the background doing the hard work. So if you would, and when I call your name, if you would kind of come up front, get out of the backdrop and come up front so that we can see who you are. Mike, where are you? Mike Fowler. Somebody didn't tell Mike. I didn't tell Mike I'd be calling his name. Mike is out there somewhere, doing what he always does as our grounds maintenance technician. Yvonne, I know you're here. Yvonne LeBlanc, our curatorial housekeeper. This place is Yvonne's place as much as it is everybody else's. It's our baby. She's here more than anyone else. Jay Buteau? Yes, come on. Jay doesn't want to come up front, but everybody knows Jay. I will make this very special announcement. Jay has just recently been promoted. She's Senior Manager of Operations and Marketing.
Yes, indeed.
Oh, yeah. Now, the new kid on the block is Adam Foreman. Adam, step forward. You'll see a lot of Adam. He doesn't want to come up front either. Senior Manager of Interpretation and Education here at the Shadows. He's leading the interpretive framework, and he'll lead the process of building an interpretive plan going forward. Jordan Richardson, there he is. He's already up front. Jordan is program coordinator. He heads up the Center for Research and Learning at the Iberia African American Historical Society, and is an employee of the Trust. Now, there are many volunteers, many members who are here, support us financially and otherwise, and I just want to, from my heart and on behalf of the Trust, thank you for all the many, many years of support that you've given to the Shadows. Too many to name here this morning, but you know who you are, and I just want you to know that we appreciate you. Now, I intentionally did not mention one employee because I wanted to save the best for last. Ralph Waldo Emerson, the transcendentalist writer, philosopher, thinker, abolitionist, once said that all history is biography. All history is biography. And I think that's clearly the case for the Shadows as we move forward in telling the full history of this site. The people who lived here, who worked here at this home and at the Weeks family plantations. That also holds true for Pat Cale. Pat, where are you? Wave your hand, bro. Pat is retiring, as many of you may know, at the end of June after serving the Trust and the Shadows for 40 years, 27 of those years as the executive director. Pat, I just want to say what you know I feel and perhaps have not expressed to you. I do appreciate all that you've done, the love that you've given this site, this community over all those years. And I say that personally and on behalf of the Trust. The National Trust has agreed to honor Pat by writing a new page of our website. You go to our website, you see all kinds of links. You see pages dealing with history of the site, slavery, the Weeks family. There will be a page in the weeks to come, and Pat, you're going to have to help us write that page. Titled The Pat Cale Years. And it'll be a permanent page of our website. That page will chronicle your life story briefly. It will talk about the challenges that you met and overcame as director of this site. We'll talk about the innovative programming that you brought to the Shadows in years that you served here. And we'll certainly talk about the partnerships that you built. We are benefiting, and will for years to come benefit from those strategic partnerships that have been built over all those 40 years. And then lastly, we'll talk about the contribution that you made to this transition, this transformation of the mission of the Shadow to telling the full story. Thank you, Pat. But that's not all. That's not all. In commemoration of this occasion and in honor and recognition of Pat's great service, as a guy who's trying to be a poet, I've written a poem to commemorate the event, the occasion, and I'm dedicating that poem to Pat Cale. The title is Dreams of the Shadows for Pat Cale. Bayou water, sugarland, letters, ledgers, photographs, and paintings, furnishings, clothing, and knickknacks, histories told and untold. Here in the South, in Iberia, we, the Shadows, at the mansion on the bayou, bear witness to the beauty and brokenness of humans, the free ones who traded and profited, and the captive chattel ones who sweetened the salty earth beyond us, all hidden in the canopies of our draping moss and beckoning palms. In the whirling winds of centuries and seasons, we bore seeds wing-borne and carried far away in air, whispering the koo-woo, the koo-woo, the koo-woo sound of morning doves and shouting the holy dance, hallelujah, hallelujah, songs of freedom. when twilight dimmed the cabins and patterns were cut and stitched. We dreamt patches of fine lace and coarse cloth, a collage of crystal and glass, porcelain and cracked pottery, carved wood and bleeding hands. Now, as sunbeams, they here, as sunbeams pierce the clouds, we dream the mosaicked and unpainted, the marbled and bare, the privileged and poor, disparate, yet bound together by love. When truth slumbers and dives in the deep, dark well of memory, we live, we remember, we tell. Come, listen, dream with us. Thank you all. And now for the official cutting of
So if
ribbon.
anybody wants to be in the picture, we're going to take it. The shadows will be in the background. so
Come.
One, two, three.
step-